Well, hi there. Welcome to BSF Recovery Team. Well, it's after Memorial now, and I don't know if you've seen all the videos from Memorial, but we had a couple of major incidences during Memorial that kind of temporarily, put a kibosh on the wrecker. We worked through them. One of which is our rope here. We busted our rope and we tied it in a knot, and that got us by. But the other one is we had a problem starting the wrecker. All weekend we were fighting with this. Only one time did it become real crucial, and we had to turn the engine over by hand a couple of times in order to get the wrecker started. I envisioned teeth missing off of my flywheel, so we got to check that, see if we got to pull the tranny, change the flywheel. The whole reason is because a year or two ago, I was out on the trail and we couldn't start the wrecker. We ended up replacing the starter, and at the time, I remember that there were some teeth that were compromised on the flywheel. So I envisioned those teeth being gone, and that's what we were running into. I'm not real sure if that's the case. We're gonna check it out, see if we gotta pull the tranny, replace the flywheel, or what we got to do. So let's get at it. There's one tooth there that looks kind of bad. But it's not missing. So let's mark our flywheel on that tooth, and we'll see if we got any spots that are bad. Well, we've gone all the way around, and we only found that one bad tooth, and it's not really that bad, but I'm assuming that that's what's given us our problem. I'm not real sure. We got to check and see if our starter is close enough. We didn't shim the starter when we put it in. We just put it in out on the trail, and it sounded pretty good, so we went with it. Now, a year or two later, we're having trouble. Okay, we need to check the distance of our starter from our flywheel, or tooth engagement. So, according to the book, that's what we need to do. And insert a screwdriver in the small hole in the bottom of the starter shown by the arrow in figure 27, and move the starter pinion and clutch assembly so that the pinion teeth and the flywheel teeth are meshed. This is necessary to rotate the flywheel so that the pinion tooth is directly in the center of the teeth in the center line of the two gears. Figure 27, right there. I don't see no hole. There's a hole way back here. Well, I don't see no hole. But we can engage the teeth another way. We can pull the starter out, pull the solenoid off, and then engage the teeth that way. Okay. Now, we take the solenoid off. Like that, the spring out, and then we can engage the starter drive without turning over the starter, and we can inspect the teeth on it, and they are, well, there wore some, like they've been riding on the outside edge. Now, I did not disconnect my battery, so that means that that starter cable there is hot. So we don't want to touch that to anywhere on the chassis. While doing this, so we're going to insulate it. Now, let's put our starter back up. And see where we're at. Now we can supposedly reach up and engage the gear on the flywheel and measure it. It isn't even close without any shims. I don't know if you can see that. But that's what I was afraid of. This is an old block, and way back when, they used to have starters called minus starters. Starters that didn't require shims and were actually closer to the flywheel than the starters that they make nowadays. So, this block requires what they call a minus starter, which they don't make anymore. You just buy the starter and you get what you get and you shim it out, and that's the way it is. But this one, back in the early block making days, they weren't, I don't know, quite as precise as they are now, or maybe they threw more blocks away. I don't know. But this one requires a minus starter, which means that the starter's got to get a little closer to the flywheel than it can by just bolting up to the block. So they used to make minus starters, and you can't get them anymore. So you kind of got to make one. The reason I know this, or the reason I suspected this, is several years ago with this block in a different truck, I was going through starters left and right. And I couldn't figure out exactly why until I actually took it apart and measured it like I did this one, and found out that it required a minus starter. We're going to have to take this starter out and make it a minus starter. In other words, we're going to have to grind down a little bit of the housing to make it fit closer to the block or to the flywheel. So, how do we do that? Well, we do that by, instead of adding shims to the mounting surface of the starter, we actually take away material. Now, we didn't have any shims in there, so how do we take away material? Well, we do that by filing it down. I only need to take about 10 thousandths, maybe 15 thousandths of an inch off of it. But aluminum tends to plug up the file, so we only get a little bit, and then we have to clean out the file again. We could grind it, but then you have a tendency to go too far too quick. So it's better just to take your time. Do it slow. I could just shim the outside bolt, tip the starter in, but, well, we like to do it this way. Then after you think you've taken about 10 or 15 thousandths off, you can try it. I don't know if you can see that. Well, that looks pretty good, but it could go a little closer.
This wire is about 30.
That's 20 thousandths of an inch between the valley and the tip of the tooth, and we're probably at 50 thousandths of an inch, so we could go a little more. The spec is 20 thousandths to 60 thousandths, and the 60 thousandths one just barely fit in there, so we're taking a little bit more off, and we'll put the solenoid on and hope that's good enough. So that should be good enough. Gotta remember to put the spring in there. Get the rubber in there correctly. Well, it's a new day, and we got to try and put this starter in and see if it engages the flywheel properly. We're assuming it will. That's why we put the solenoid back on it, and we'll wire it in and try it out.
Unwrap our battery cable here. Seeing as we didn't
Undo the battery or disconnect the battery, we got to be careful not to short that out, or we'll well, we won't hurt ourselves, but it'll definitely scare us. Okay, now for the moment of truth. Hey, I like that. Let's try that out again. Oh, that is nice. One more time. Ha-ha! Yeah, that is beautiful. Well, there you have it. There's our starter fix. And we now have to fix our rope, and we have to do a little work to our sling too. All right, well, we got to fix this, and I think it's about time we fix these too. So I went and got some supplies. I don't have a rethread tool for the synthetic rope, and well, I don't have time to order one. So I got the next best thing. I got some knitting needles here, large, and hopefully that'll work good. hard to cut through, but I suppose that's good in a way. Tried cutting through it with a knife. It doesn't work so good. Scissors doesn't work so good either. There we go. Now we got to get to the hollow inside of these. There we go. And we kind of force this inside. There. Now, so right about here. We push it through. And push it back through. Like that. And then we kind of feed it up the center. So I've been told. And pull it through. That is supposed to lock it in there. The tighter you pull on it, the stronger it gets. Just like that. Okay, need to unpin our hook and pin it back in here. Go. Voila, that's fixed. I don't know how much tail you bury inside here, but there's a certain amount that you have to bury in order to keep it as strong as it is. But I'm assuming that that's far enough. I know that some of the other guys, they don't use hooks on the end of theirs and stuff like that, but for me it's much more convenient, and I've actually never broken one of these going around the hook, so I'm not too worried about it. I am getting a little irritated by is these hooks coming undone. I put these hooks on the end of this to make it convenient to switch to a strap that I've never used, well, we had to repair a couple of them recently, simply because the little cotter pin broke. So we're gonna fix these with these. They'll still be removable. Get the paper off of them here, and they'll still be removable, so we can switch it out if we need to. There we go. Oh, look at that, perfect fit. We want to put those in like that. Hey, puppy dog. Yeah. There we go. There we go. Our working end is fixed again, and we're ready to go to our event this weekend. Thanks for watching, BSF Recovery Team. Keep wheeling, be safe out there, and maybe we'll see you in the woods.